Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Origins Martial Arts Productions podcast. Very exciting. We're doing our first episode today. We can kind of count this as, I would say, episode 0 because it's a little introduction into what we want to do further on with this project. I'm Erik. I'm going to be your co-host today, and we also have Anthony Marquez Hanshi. If you want to introduce yourself there.
Yes, I would happily put senior behind that Marquez because I'm very proud to say that I had a boy after 3 tries. But I am Anthony Marquez. For those of you that know me, you know that I'm a martial artist. I'm a Goju and a weapons specialist. But for those of you that are hearing my voice for the first time and seeing me for the first time, I started martial arts in 1971. I was proudly serving the United States in the Air Force and was proudly serving when they sent me to Okinawa, Japan. First to Japan, I was at Tachikawa Air Force Base in 1971 to 75. And then I went to the Mecca of martial arts, and that was Okinawa, 1977 through 1985. So I served the military, and I served my country for 20 years. I'm a veteran, Master Sergeant retiree, very proud. And but in my adventures as a military man, I was very fortunate, and I got to go to Japan, as I indicated, and Okinawa, and it was a glorious trip and a life. And I'm still serving the martial arts. I'm a 8th degree black belt. I have my own organization. All my teachers have passed on, and I established my organization in the early 80s, Traditional Martial Arts International, which is comprised of my teachings or my studies with all my teachers. And I've had some incredible teachers. I've been very fortunate to have been a first generation to all my teachers. I studied Goju-ryu with Masanobu Shinjo, who was the headmaster for Shobokan. I was also first generation to Katsuyoshi Kanai, the founder of the Jinbokan. I was also first generation to Masanobu Kina from the Rengokai. And then I trained under Kaisho Isa Soke on the Ofuchikuden Kobujitsu Association organization. I also studied with Thomas Cully, Professor Thomas Cully, who was a great influence on my life. And a special shout out to Sensei Cully. Hopefully he'll see this. So I've had a glorious time. Oh, I don't want to omit my Iaido experience with Masayuki Shimabukuro Sensei, who was my Iaido teacher, who has passed on, as all my teachers I think have. But it's been a glorious trip. I married a young woman in New York City, Norma, and she's been with me ever since high school. We just celebrated, I believe 2 years ago, our 50th golden anniversary. She's been my inspiration and my rock throughout my whole career. As most of you married guys and women know that without the support of a fantastic spouse, and she was also my student and made up the knee down with me, that your career will have a lot of bumps and sore spots, but I've been very fortunate. She's still with me. She has given me 3 beautiful kids who are now adults, and they've given me 8 grandkids. And of the 8 grandkids, a few of them have given me 5 great-grandkids. So I'm kind of dating myself, too. I'm 71 years old, and this year I celebrate 50 years of martial arts training. So it's been a glorious year, you know. Erik, yeah. I've been very fortunate and very happy with my career. No regrets at all.
Amazing. Yeah, I've heard a lot about your history, and it never ceases to amaze me how much you actually how much of a story you have to tell, right? So I'm really happy to be doing this podcast with you because I think that people just in general that who are interested in martial arts, specifically Goju, are really gonna benefit from hearing the stories that you have to tell.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you I know that we just met maybe 2 months ago. You're a son of one of my students, one of my great students. But I want to thank you because you're an up-and-coming young professional, and I'm an old-timer. I'm going out the door and you're coming in the door, and hopefully you'll be able to help me tell my story and also create a podcast that I believe is going to bring a lot of light, not only in my life, but in the people that I intend to see and interview. And I've got a different spin on the podcast. I want to travel. I want to go into the dojos of all these headmasters that I've been very fortunate to have met, and in some case trained with them. Go back to Okinawa and see if some of my teachers, I think Sensei Isa is still with us. Mm-hmm. I have friends all over the world, and wouldn't it be nice to travel and to show people firsthand, not through an interview,
Absolutely.
But through practical application and see stuff. That's has been my dream for a long time to be able to do it, and I thank God that a young man named Erik came into my life, and that we're going to make it happen. Right. I have to backtrack a little bit just so people that know me as a adaptive therapeutic teacher. I've been teaching children and adults with disabilities for close to 40 years, and I didn't mention that at the beginning. Mm-hmm. That is more of a passion and a love than a profession, and so through my studies, I've come to know just tremendous, victorious warriors who most people would write off. In fact, when I started doing this, people did write them off. You didn't have that many people teaching children and adults with disabilities martial arts. And when I first started, it was kind of a dream and a vision. I didn't know what I was doing, to tell you the truth, because there is no professional training in this field. In fact, I'm creating it myself for my instructors. But it was something I had to do. Learn a lot about what I should do and what I shouldn't do. When you have that learning curve, and you think back, you go, whoa, that was dumb. I shouldn't have done that one. It didn't work with somebody who is sight impaired. That didn't work with an autism kid. Mm-hmm. But it's been a glorious. That also has enriched my life, and it's been glorious. And up to today, I'm still teaching it. I've done many world events, and I hope to interview incredible teachers who have dedicated their lives to people with special needs within their dojos. And now it's widespread. Now they have world championships for people with disabilities. When I started, there was no such thing. So we're going to have fun doing this. I know we are.
Yeah. It's a great movement. It's a great movement. I'm glad that you took part in it. So you did mention that you have students around the world who have started their own dojos, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. So what kind of places are we talking here?
Well, if we could get up and walk around and show the flags that are around my walls.
I'll put some shots in there.
Yeah. Right. So a shout out to my students in fact, I just look at the flags: Puerto Rico, mm-hmm. Venezuela, Peru, Chile, Costa Rica, Trinidad, Germany.
Wow.
And lately, I met a great man who teaches kids with special needs in Jordan.
In Jordan, wow.
In Jordan, that's right. So I have students in Jordan now, and my goal is to go to Jordan and to hold a world event for people with disabilities. And Sensei Mohammed said that he would be willing to sponsor that in Jordan. So I'm looking forward to that. Once we get past this period in our lives and we can fly all over the world again, I'll be traveling a lot.
Hopefully that's coming soon.
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you want to take this in all over the world, and you want to take this in different directions, flying places, interviewing senseis, almost like a podcast / vlog, where we have content that people can listen to, but also things that people can watch, almost documentarian. And I really like that idea, and I think that's going to be a really fun thing for people to watch. What can we bring to people who might not have a background in martial arts? How can we engage with people who might just be curious about it, but not necessarily from the world of martial arts?
Well, that's almost like saying, how do you bring, or how do you attract people to your dojo or to your school?
Mm-hmm.
What makes martial arts so attractive? Because everyone is a beginner at first.
Right.
All these headmasters that are listening to me today and all these black belts, they were white belts at one time. Something brought them in, either a movie or a famous actor or a need. And those needs vary. Those needs include people that have to lose weight and they feel that they're out of shape, people that have medical conditions, like I just said. I've been teaching people with disabilities for over 30 years, and when mothers bring those kids to me, it's because of varying needs that they have, either physical or cognitive or spiritual or social. And I believe that the martial arts, in my opinion, is the most holistic approach to human development that we have on the planet today.
How so?
Well, if you look at let's take a child, and daddy or mommy is looking, they're 6, 7, they start them off in their physical world. They go to t-ball, they go to all the sports that we know and that we love. Soccer, football, t-ball, baseball, basketball, ice hockey, and all those are traditional sports, but those sports are not meant to develop the child holistically. And by holistic, I mean the mind, the body, and the spirit, which is something that's said many times in sports and especially in martial arts, that we're looking for something that will have a growth effect on the human condition. So we're talking physical. That's pretty easy. Develop the musculature, develop the flexibility, develop the hand-eye coordination, develop the speed, the power of the human condition. And you get that in just about everything you do. If you're in baseball, there are certain attributes that you can attach to baseball as you can basketball or football. It develops the body in different ways, but it does develop the body. The second tier is the mental game, okay? And the mental game, you have to have that when you are in these sports.
Right.
Those that understand the mental game and how important that plays in the physical game are the elites. They're the ones that have figured out it's more than just running fast or hitting hard or blocking. I've got to have a mental game. And that one you have with good coaches that are well-versed in that area.
Yeah.
But the third one is what separates the martial arts. And people always talk about the spirituality of martial arts. I'm very quick to define that for my parents, and I tell my instructors worldwide, we're not here to teach a religion. We're not here to promote whether you're Catholic or Christian or you're Baptist or whatever religion you particularly practice. Don't bring it into the dojo. What you should bring into the dojo is the spirituality of faith, because all religions are based on faith.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
And when you get in a situation where your physicalness is not enough, where your intellectuality is not enough, there's only one place left to go, and that is the spirituality of what you do.
Yeah.
And so I teach that as a universal principle on how to use universal principles that are universally accepted.
Yeah.
And you find in all religions. And they're very common. And if you put them all together, you wouldn't know if it came from a Christian or if it came from anybody else. But it's something that is applicable and can be used any place. And I believe in the martial arts, not only do you get a physicalness that is holistic, because we jump, we squat, we kick, we punch, we block. The whole body's used in martial arts. There's no part of the human condition that's not employed in either fighting, kumite, or in kata, in weapons, in basics. And we use the whole body.
Right.
Okay?
Down to the fingertips.
Down to the fingertips.
I've
That's
seen
right.
those jars.
Yes, sirree, down to the fingertips. And then we have to use our intellectual powers, our thinking powers, because I believe you do nothing if you don't think about it first.
Yeah.
And so I've read many books on that subject, that without intellectual powers, then your imagination, your ability to visualize in the martial arts is very limited. So I teach that the mind and the body have to work together as one. And then when you have that moments, and you have a lot of them, in stressful situations, in challenging situations, there's something that both the mind and the body cannot give you, and that's faith. And that's the intangible, that many people miss in martial arts. Many people just either don't understand it, can't teach it, or don't have it.
Right.
And so when I say mind, body, spirit, that's exactly what I'm saying, is that makes it a holistic approach to human behavior and human development, which is, I think, one of my keys to success in teaching people with disabilities.
Right.
Because they are limited in physical stuff, cerebral palsy, polio, amputees, spina bifida. Their bodies are not functioning as we would define that for us.
Right.
But how do you have someone like that believe that they can kick?
Spirit.
It has to be the spirit, because the intellectual part is telling them, but you have no legs, or your legs are non-functional.
Yeah.
So what's going to move that limb? It's a belief, a spiritual belief that I can if I believe enough. And so it's, once you start teaching in this realm, it just changes the whole approach to martial arts.
Yeah.
And you get into a different realm altogether, and then you see some incredible things that I've had people say, that's a miracle, Hanshi Marquez. That kid wasn't supposed to be able to do this or do that, but he's doing it. What is it? I don't like to talk about miracles, because now you're getting into the spirit world, and that's not my place.
Yeah.
I say, no, it's the human potential has no limit. The human capacity of a child. If you look at the child, you say, well, he's blind, so he'll never see. He has no legs, so he'll never walk. He has intellectual deficiency, so he can't process information, so he won't understand. I've come to understand that you shouldn't put those limitations on anybody. And number two, the unlimited potential of that human can only be unlocked through the spiritual world, through a faith-based approach as a teacher and as parents, to not look at the child with the eyes of, this is the reality of my son, blind, deaf, but look at the potential of your son while he's blind and deaf. And if you find teachers that believe in that, as I do, potential is unlimited. That's why the nonprofit that I founded years ago is called Possibilities Unlimited International, because I firmly believe that.
Yeah.
I firmly believe that.
So, I mean, you're basically saying that we can connect with anybody on a spiritual level, as long as, well, especially in martial arts, as long as the potential of that person's spirit is recognized.
Well, as a teacher, you have to recognize and accept the fact that you're not God, that you don't know the capacity of a human being. You just don't.
Yeah.
So you have to work on the premise, the possibilities are unlimited.
Yeah.
If you work on that premise, then you can't miss any good stuff that's coming your way. Why? Because I look at the kid that can't see. He has sight impairment. Yet he'll do a kata, complete kata. I've seen this. I've seen a black belt do that. Sight impaired, he starts in one spot and he finishes in the same spot, does a kata, as good as anybody else does.
Wow.
How did he do that? So how does a kid with spina bifida move a limb that's been dormant for 15 years? I've seen that happen. I've seen that happen.
Wow.
But the leader, the mentor, the teacher who initiates that opening of that door has to believe unequivocally, cannot accept the reality of his student that's sitting in front of him, cannot accept the fact that he's blind, or that he doesn't understand because of autism or Down syndrome or whatever the situation is. He cannot accept what he's looking at. He must look at only the potential of what he's looking at and work off that premise and say, because I'm not God, I don't know what's dormant in the mind of that young child. But what I do know, it's unlimited. Now, do I have the gift as a teacher to open up those boxes, to open up those doors? And secondarily, have that child, who most likely has been told, know a lot in his life. Yes, it is possible. It is possible. And then to have that young man or that adult assume that I'm right in what I'm saying to him, and then have faith in me to say, if my sensei says it is, then so be it. Let's find out. But the sensei has to be the initiator, because the young man who's sitting in front of him, the reality of that is he is blind. He is deaf. He is an amputee. He is Down syndrome or cerebral palsy or whatever it is. That's the reality of their world. What you're bringing to them is an untapped world of possibilities. And that has to be a spiritual connection, because the reality of the physicalness and the intellectual is obvious. What's not obvious is the unknown.
Right.
That realm that people say makes a person do incredible things in their life in the face of the reality. And books are written on this subject. Their books are written on this subject. You just have to have a faith base that is unshakable as a teacher. Unshakable.
Right. A lot of this kind of boils down to perspective as well. You know, you go somewhere like this dojo, and you have despite what you've been told about your possibilities and your potential, you're getting another perspective from the outside that's telling you, no, I think you can go further.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's a really incredible thing. Yeah. So I guess, as I said, this is kind of the introduction to what we want to do with the rest of the podcast. We're going to be talking to other figures in the martial arts world. Do you want to keep it open to all forms, all different types of martial arts, or do you want to keep it to one specific practice?
Well, I thought about that a lot, especially when you consider that I've been a traditional martial artist my whole career. I've lived in Japan for 4 years, as I indicated. I lived in Okinawa for 8 years, and I've been very fortunate to only have trained with first-generation masters, headmasters, in fact. So should I keep it specifically targeted at the Okinawan community? And I know many great Okinawan teachers. Should I then broaden it to Japan, my first 4 years, 71 through 75? I'd love to go back to Japan. I'm sure I wouldn't see the people I saw back then. I wouldn't recognize them. They wouldn't recognize me. But there's a lot of great Japanese karate senseis that are incredible. In Okinawa, I can go down each corner and find an incredible teacher to talk to. But I'm 71. I'll be 72 in June. And I know my time is limited. Maybe another 30 years. That's all I got left. But I've also met incredible teachers that are not Okinawan and Japanese based. I met some incredible teachers. I produced with some of my senior students 2 or 3 championships with Disney. I know many people know me because of that. But when I did the Disney Martial Arts Festival, I had an eye-opening because I had to interview headmasters from all styles.
Yeah.
Because the event was martial arts. Wasn't traditional karate, but it was martial arts. And so I had to recruit and talk to headmasters who would take an interest in this event. And I did. And I met some incredible people in 16 different disciplines.
Wow.
I'm very proud to say that Origins Martial Arts Festival hosted close to 19 headmasters. And everybody was an 8th Dan or above. And headmasters of their own systems. So, no, I don't think I want to just narrow my potential
Yeah.
to traditional. Yes, I am a traditionalist. I love it. I know a lot of friends that are in this world with me. I'd love to interview them. Worldwide, I have friends all over the world that are traditionalists. But there's also a wide range of other martial arts that always have fascinated me. Always fascinated me. And so, no, we're going to start off with the traditionalists.
Yeah.
But just like my nonprofit says, possibilities are unlimited.
I like that.
So I want to go everywhere with you and just bring the martial arts to whoever wants to listen to me and see me.
That's awesome. Connect spiritually.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, I think that should probably wrap things up there. So you heard it here, folks. We are looking to do this podcast as well as some video material, traveling and documenting, things like that. So I'm really excited to get this thing going, and I'm really happy that we could put this episode out. And I'm very happy to anyone who's watched and or listened to this podcast / broadcast. So again, this is the Origins Martial Arts Productions podcast. If you want to check us out on Instagram, we'll check out Hanshi on Instagram. It's at Hanshi Marquez, HANSHI MARQUEZ. All right, that should do it. Thanks, Hanshi.
Thank you, Erik, for joining my team. I'm very proud to have you on board.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.